There you go. Okay, we are live.
Welcome, everyone. Calling to order the City of Salem Solid Waste Committee meeting for Thursday, July 17th. And we'll go ahead and introduce ourselves. Councilor Nishioka, Chair of the meeting.
Deanna Gwen.
Irvin M. Brown.
And I understand that Mickey Varney should be coming in, but she's not, but we wanted to get started on our meeting and we do have a quorum.
And I just let her in.
Oh, wonderful. And there she is.
You should be loading.
And while we're waiting for her to come online, will the staff please introduce themselves?
Ryan Zink, franchise administrator.
Josh Eggleston, Chief Financial Officer.
Callie Langenbach, budget manager. Kelly Blake Schmidt, management analyst.
Great. And do I introduce guests or should we? We have guests with us and will they be speaking today?
So we are expecting one guest online. Dan Strandy should be joining us soon, but then also Kevin introduce himself.
Kevin Ryan, COO for Resource.
Thank you.
And Jim Eagle, CFO for Resource.
Thank you. And Councilor Varney, would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hello, I am Mickey Varney, Councilor for Ward 8.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right. I want to just note that the agenda does have an incorrect date. It said Wednesday, July 17th. So we just want to make sure everyone is aware that that is corrected. It is Thursday, not Wednesday. And then also noted that there was a glitch with the days of the week. And on the draft minutes from our last meeting, it said that the next meeting would be on Wednesday, July 17th, and it's not. It is on Thursday.
I really like Wednesdays. Really like them.
That June 19th just kind of messed us up, so.
And that the next meeting, which is listed on our agenda, is not Wednesday, August 21st, but Thursday, August 21st. Now that
That's all.
And now that we've made those corrections, and I'd appreciate a motion on the approval of the draft minutes with the amendment.
I
So moved.
yes, I so moved. There you go.
Second.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Wonderful. Thank you. All right, so that is done. We have public comment next, and I see that we have Mr. Shepke here. So Mr. Shepke, would you like to step forward and provide us with your name and ward and your testimony? About, I guess, 3 minutes, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have time?
Yeah, let me do that real quick for you. Thank you. My name is Jim Shepke. I live in Ward 2 and I'm here representing 350 Salem. I have two things to talk to you about today. The first relates to this handout, which is coming around. And I hope the other counselors that aren't here can get a copy of this. It's a very important study that just came out about wastewater treatment plants that channel PFAS into waterways. And it says the punchline is weeks-long sampling by the Waterkeeper Alliance, both upstream and downstream of 22 wastewater treatment facilities in 19 states, saw total PFAS concentrations increase in 95% of tested waterways receiving discharge from the facilities. And as you know, our water treatment plant does this. And they didn't test the Willamette River. I wish they had. They did test the Tualatin River, as you'll read about here. And PFAS concentrations rose by 29% after receiving discharge. And that came from the Hillsborough landfill, which sends leachate into the Rock Creek treatment facility that's run by the county, I think, Washington County, and goes into the Tuolumne River. So we're very concerned about this. We hope this solid waste committee takes up the topic of leachate before too much longer. We know that Republic Services wants them to take twice as much leachate as it does already. And we think we should be like Corvallis and say, no more leachate pollution in our Willamette River. So I wanted to share that with you. Secondly, I wanted to say that we're getting very close to a Benton County Planning Commission decision on expansion of the Coffin Butte landfill. And that is expected on the 22nd, so just a few days from now. And they're looking at a conditional use permit to do that expansion, major expansion of the Coffin Butte landfill. And their decision can be appealed to the Benton County Board of Commissioners. It most certainly will be appealed. If Republic loses, they'll appeal, and if the neighbors lose, they'll appeal. The public testimony on this has taken days and hours, and I brought this, which shows you that there were almost 2,000 public comments opposed to the expansion, and I'll pass that around. And I just want to say, you can see the things they're concerned about: noise, methane, air quality, leachate. So anyway, I hope you're tuned into this. We're the biggest contributor to the Coffin Butte landfill. So this really is our issue in addition to Benton County's issue. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and appreciate all the work that you and 350 is doing. I don't know if you saw that on our agenda on Monday, we did authorize to participate in a study for PFAS. Looking forward to how that goes. I'm not quite sure what the timing is.
I appreciate that, but I point out that that's only for biosolids.
True, but at least we'll start.
And our biggest issue is actually
what goes out.
the Willamette River. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr.
Thank
Shepke. Wonderful, we don't have anybody else signed up, and so we will be.
Sharon Shioka.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, did you have a question for Mr. Shepke?
I do. I was madly scribbling down notes because I don't have the handout. I'm sorry. I'm just verifying here. So it's regarding the PFAS. So this 29% increase was from when to when at the Hillsborough landfill, whatever.
The investigation, which I trust you'll get a copy of, was a week-long sampling by the Waterkeeper Alliance at 22 wastewater treatment facilities in 19 states. And so it was a week-long test. And after that was concluded, they found that there was a 29% increase of PFAS in the Tuolumne River.
From, well, the 29% is based on an increase from when?
Yeah, the dates from when,
When I don't know the week-long study. This report just came out on July 2nd, so I assume it was recent.
Well, the 29% is 29% of what? It says it's a 29% increase, so I'm just trying to figure out it's an increase from what to what.
Yeah, that's a good question. I hope you'll get a copy of this, and I hope it'll give you the answer.
Okay. So I didn't miss
29% didn't sound good.
No. But it's, if it's 30 years, it's like, okay. My other question was, did they test the leachate at the landfill, or were they testing treated wastewater?
I think they were testing the Tuolumne River. That receives
So they don't really know what the source
receives
was.
leachate from the Rock Creek treatment facility. In fact, they have a pipe that goes from the landfill right directly into the wastewater facility where the leachate goes right in there, and then doesn't get treated. and gets discharged into the Tualatin River. But I
Are
hope you'll
there
get a
any
copy,
other-
and I hope this will answer your question. There's
Okay,
there's a chart in here with very tiny print that hopefully you can make out.
Okay, all right. Sorry for all the questions since I didn't have it in front of me. These things just came to mind. So I'm sure when I get a copy, I will be able to answer some of my questions. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Yes, there's been, copies been made and will be sent out to, the other members of the committee.
It should be in our pocket.
Should be in your inbox, I just heard.
That's true, it's true.
And we also have, I just need to note that Dan Strandy from Resource has also joined us. Thank you. Okay. So now back to, there's no special orders of business, no action items. So we get to turn this now over to Mr. Zink for management updates and information items, unless anyone has any questions before we do that. All right.
So very quickly, upcoming events, Englewood Forest Festival on August 9th at Englewood Park. I don't have a flyer for you, but I think if you just type in Englewood Forest Park or Festival, there's lots of information online for that. Next, just kind of the main event today is a presentation of, this is the initial presentation, I'll say, of the solid waste rates price increase request from the haulers. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we will dive into that.
So just a preamble on this, this is what the haulers are requesting. Over the next few months, we'll be discussing all rates. So this is just the beginning.
Yes. Yes. Hey, all right.
It works.
Technology is my friend today.
I imagine both of you can see that. Can everyone see that?
And then there's also, I sent out an electronic copy of this earlier today.
Yes, thank you.
So kind of two things we're going to see today. One is so 2024-2025 cost service analysis basically says, hey, how did we end 2024? Where do we think we're going to end 2025? Because that's we have adopted rates for those 2 years. So there's no decision on our current year, right? Where do we think we're going to end up? And then how does that impact and where do we think we're going to go and what the request is for the next 2 years? So it'd be effective, rates effective January 1st of 2026 and January 1st of 2027. So where did we or do we think we're going to end up? So for Salem, Marion, if you recall, we're split into two zones. There's the Marion County side and there's the Polk County side. So for all lines of business, 2024 ended at 10.8%. 2025 are projected to end at 10.7%. As you recall, the goal is to hit a 10%. Is the target, but hopefully at least somewhere between 8 and 12 is kind of the low and high boundary that we're aiming for. And so when we look at the individual lines of business on the Marion County side, we're at, I'll go through all the numbers, but you see we're around the 12-ish%, 12 to 11% for a carton container. Dropbox offsets that a little bit lower at that 6 and 7%. When we then project that out, and we'll get into the whys and all that, but with no additional changes to the rates, anticipating 2026 would be at 8.5%. So still within that overall margin, if you will. Carton container are nearly 10%, and again, drop boxes offsetting that with 4.4%. 2027, with continued inflation factors and that sort of thing, as expected, a continued lowering of that margin. So a increase would be needed to bring that back up closer to the target. And at any time, please feel free to stop me if you have some questions, but we'll. So when we look at Polk County, the same type of thing. This is a little different picture. 2024, all lines of business. Within that 8 to 12%, but it's on the lower end. And 2025 is projected to actually be under that 8% at 6.9. Again, we see Dropbox is kind of the big factor here that's pulling down the rest of it. But carton container are okay. 2025, as we'll see here in a minute, is having some pressures from solid waste disposal directly related to Coffin Butte. We'll see that here in a minute. When we project this out, though, with those continued pressures, 2026 is well under the target, and 2027 we're actually looking at projecting a negative margin, so they're losing money, and we don't want to do that. So I'm just going to cut to the chase. What is the ask, or what is needed currently to get us up to, on both of those, back up to a 10% margin across the board? So see 2026 on the Marion County side, it doesn't take much to get us back up to that target of 10%. 2027 again is nominal at 2.5% overall. Marion County would take a bit more, almost a 10% increase in 2026.
You mean Polk County?
I'm sorry,
Yes.
Polk County. Thank you. On the Polk County side, we would need an almost 10% overall increase in 2026, 2027, a 5.6% overall increase.
And generally speaking, cost of living, is that already built into this? And this is another, these percentages are above that, or is cost of living just sort of kind of calculated in?
So there is a general CPI included, and so as everything costs a little bit more, whether it be buying supplies or, and we'll get into kind of what factors are being used to calculate that. Yep.
All right, thank you.
You're looking ahead, aren't you?
I wasn't.
Counselor Brink has a question.
Oh,
Counselor Varney, you have a question.
I do. Thank you. And thank you, Ryan, for sending the presentation out. It's really helpful. My question is regarding Polk County. In the past, the rates for Polk County have been lower than for Marion County
Yes.
overall. So what created this big change is my question.
what created what caused them to be lower?
No. They were lower before, but now they are, it looks like we're going to have to do much larger
Right.
rate increases in Polk County, which is, what changed to cause this?
They are still lower for now, but because of the larger increases needed in Marion County, and we'll see this here in a second, but it's predominantly related to the cost of disposal. And the biggest factor there is the increased cost of disposal at Coffin Butte. That is the primary factor for the significant increases for the Polk County side. And I have a graph coming up here in a moment that'll show you the significance of that impact.
So,
Okay.
Does that help? Does that answer your question? Does that help for now?
Well, kind of. I was wondering why we're suddenly trying to catch up so much and then more on top of it. When I look at the rate adjustment request for Marion versus Polk, it seems like Polk has been behind for a while, and all of a sudden we're jumping it way up, even more so than I would have anticipated. So that's why I was asking.
Sure. So just a reminder, so with each of each year and each time we look at this, we're targeting the line of business and then each zone, like the Marion County side or Polk County side, is targeting a 10% margin. So whatever the cost is to provide service, there's an allowed margin on top of that, and that margin is targeted at 10%. And so as the costs, the factors that go into the cost of providing that service change. So what we're seeing here is that the cost of providing service on the Polk County side is increasing at a much faster rate than the cost of providing service on the Marion County side.
Okay, yeah, that's what it looks like. Thank you.
So I'm kind of speeding through these a little bit. So, with the assumption that you guys are becoming familiar with this, I don't want to labor too much. I want to get to the meat of kind of the why. And so when we this part's pretty benign here. There's some good news here as well. So you, Chair, you asked about the general CPI. We're estimating about a 3.5% and then about 2.5% out in 2027.
Okay.
For just anything that doesn't fit within another bucket. So just a general inflation of that 3.5% to 2.5%. Fuel, we're actually continuing to see a bit of a downward pressure. So that's good news there. There's generally always 0% on the third year, or at this point, kind of that second year out, because it's one of those things where fuel could go up, fuel could go down. We don't have a good crystal ball for that, right? And so really what we're doing is we're assuming it's going to remain flat, but then taking whatever the most recent adjustments are, whatever the kind of most recent trajectory of it is. So if it's been going down, you'll kind of see that, but then we're assuming that there's zero change in the out year. So that's why you'll always kind of see whatever it is kind of going towards that zero. Labor, based on most recent Republic Services CBA, and then also just kind of actual projected and actual increases for the other haulers. And then benefits, currently assuming a 5% increase. Normally so that's through the Oregon Refuse and Recycling Association is where those benefits come from. And that contract is renewed every year in August. So we will have better information in August, and this might be up a little bit, might be down a little bit. So we'll kind of see where that goes.
It's 5%, just the assumption.
But we're currently assuming a 5% increase on that. Yes. So when we get into disposal, on the Marion County side, Marion County Commissioners, again, have not changed the rate that is to be charged by the haulers. That's still charged to the haulers. That's still $87.45 rate. So zero change there. So again, a 0, 0 with 0 for the 3 years.
Will they talk about that again?
I think we're going to be.
Brian May is on there. Will he know?
He might. Hey Brian, could I put you on the spot for a second if you're there? Do you know if and when Marion County Commissioners may be revisiting disposal rate for Marion County?
I can tell you, I know we're looking at the future now, and we should know probably within the next, so say 3 months, maybe, if we're looking to make a change.
Thank you.
Yep.
Hey.
Okay. On the Polk County side, I've got a little bit more detail on the next slide. So kind of two things, implement, so I'm just going to read this here, so it's on the slide, but on Coffin Butte implemented a price increase in 2025 from $44 to $53. And they've communicated they anticipate an additional $10 each year, so $63 in 2026 and $73 in 2027. These do include, it's an approximate number, but $3 per ton for an environmental fee, which started in July of 2024. And so kind of the impact when we narrow in on this a little bit more. I went back to 2018. The rate in 2018 was $31.50. There were some increases, but relatively small increases. One year there was nothing. Up through 2024, we see the $3 per ton environmental fee, which is actually I think it's $19.71. Yeah, so 19.71 cents per load. So each truck goes down there has to pay an environmental fee. That averages out to be about $3 per ton. And so, Member Varney, to your question earlier about West Salem, the 25, 26, 27, this is why we're seeing and asking for, looking at possibly a double-digit increases on the Polk County side.
Now, do the Polk County Commissioners make those decisions? Or, like, because you were talking about Marion County. Is this just because of the fees of Coffin Butte, or is the?
So, yeah, this is the disposal fee at Coffin Butte.
And so, Polk County is now saying, okay, we've got to.
Well, so Polk County doesn't adopt a
Doesn't do
rate.
that. Oh, it's just the
No,
haulers.
so that's the haulers within Polk County. This is the rate
Got
that they pay.
So that's probably part of the difference in the sense that Marion County, the commissioners are sort of involved in that.
I think it's an additional step. So on the Polk County side, it's just market rates, whatever Coffin Butte is charging. On the Marion County side, you have the added dynamic of Marion County adopting a rate. And then they control, how
Because they-
much others charge.
Thank you.
Yep. So that's the trash side of things. We get into mixed organics. There's some increases here, not nearly as steep though. So current rate, rate in 2024 was at 87.75 per ton. And then we're seeing some moderate increases, currently paying $95 per ton. Haulers are this year. Next couple of years, looking at a $5 per ton increase is anticipated. And then when we look at commingled rates, so this is your commingled blue recycling bin on the curb. I'm going to actually point to the very last bulletin on this at the bottom of the slide. When we looked at this 2 years ago, the rate that we were paying it then and what was anticipated for 24 and 25 was actually almost $114 per ton. So when we then go back up and look at the table and we see that actually in 2024, the current average rate is around $95. The almost 13% increase to 2025 of that 106 provides a little perspective. So we actually got a little bit of break. So because of market forces and whatnot, 2024, 25 have actually been less than what was originally anticipated. And so, and that 106.67 is representative of actual costs for the first couple of months of 2025. As we get more history with that, we'll be coming back next month and possibly have an adjustment to that. Could be up, could be down. But just with some minor inflation factors in terms of transportation and processing, looking at this point, estimating some very minor increases over the next couple of years. I'm going to break that down a little bit more on the next slide and kind of show you what goes into this and where there's possibly an opportunity for us moving forward. So that 106.67 for 2025 is broken out into three parts. There's the actual cost of the disposal. There's the cost to transport it to the processor, and there's a processing fee. associated with that. And so that total is at around $107. Right now, our projected increases are, so the disposal is actually remaining the same, but the transportation and processing has about a 3.5% inflation factor, again, just to cost of increase of doing business, if you will. Next slide, though, because of, I'm just going to read this briefly. So one aspect of RMA is to quote, offset annual compensation to the CRPFs, which are certified recycle processing facilities. One of them, for instance, would be Garden. But annual compensation to the processors to cover current operating and contaminant disposal costs, as well as future improvement costs. All that to say that 6191 is could be offset by some amount through the RMA process. So if we assume that, so this is kind of worst case scenario, if you will. I'm expecting that with discussions and through the negotiations between the processors and CAA, that that number is going to be going down. If not, I'm hoping it gets zeroed out. I don't know exactly, the interpretation of RMA as it relates to this. One interpretation is that the Circular Action Alliance pays for that disposal in its entirety, and so the local cost for disposal is zero, and so we just have the transportation and processing fee. So I don't want to get your hopes up that it's going to be zero, but somewhere between $62 and zeros.
Too late.
Is where I'm hoping to land. So we may actually see some reduction in this overall disposal cost. So.
Who's on the positive side?
Can I put you on the spot for a second? And is that aligned with your understanding?
That is, yeah, we're starting to see, I can't tell you, I think the actual cost may be zero this month. Starting to talk with the processors and that's their plan, so I'm waiting just to see the actual notices from them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that removes about half of the actually a little more than 50% of that total commingled disposal cost. So that reduction is not included in the previous numbers. When we come back next month and as we start considering some adjustments and some different things that are in the works right now, you'll see that number to be a little bit lower.
Yeah, I should be getting those that information within the next week or so. So as soon as I do, I'll shoot you.
Awesome.
May I ask a question?
Please.
So would that be something that would carry over for Polk County?
Yes.
Then the rates that we were looking at that Councilor Barney was seeing were quite high, potentially 20% higher in some cases. Would that then mean it would not likely get that?
This will help a little bit.
A little bit.
We're talking about possibly as much as a 1% reduction in the ask.
Okay, so there might be a little bit of sunshine on your previous question, Councilor Barney.
It's like the clouds parting a little bit,
Yeah.
and it's not sunny skies. So again, going back to, again, this is kind of that first blush. This is that first ask of, there's some refinement that needs to happen over the next month or two. But this is, so same slide as what we had before. And I'm trying to remember what was on the next slide here. So what adjustments am I anticipating? First, I will say that we've already included one adjustment, which relates to the glass recycling. So our haulers receive or will receive $77 per ton of glass that they collect and dispose of. So they're going through that negotiation process right now with Circular Action Alliance. And so the estimate right now, so the impact, which is already included in the previous numbers, is about $55,000 in 2025, upwards of $114,000 to $117,000. So a little over $100,000 impact to, so it's offset to reimbursement of that expenditure. Now, this doesn't move the needle a lot, but it's something, so it's helpful. Other things that we'll be looking at, again, the commingled recycling disposal fee. It sounds like there's some good news there. We may actually see that disposal piece of it go away entirely. You notice that the biggest increase requests were, the biggest variance was in the Dropbox line of business. And so there's some, I'm learning that there's possibly an imbalance between the cost of the rental and then the delivery of that box, so that there's a rental cost and there's actually a delivery cost. And so I think that sounds like that might need to be adjusted, which could help with this. So the ongoing, anyway, we'll bring back more information on that.
So are you saying the delivery portion needs to be increased?
I believe so. Yeah, I think it's currently around $50 and probably needs to be increased to about 75, we think is the number. I don't have it in front of me, so I don't want to.
Right, because they have to deliver it
Yep.
and then come back and pick it up after whatever period of time.
Right.
Yeah,
And so-
$50 does sound low.
It does for, especially for
Yeah.
that size of container.
Yeah.
But then, of course, they pay for it's not just pickup and delivery, don't they?
And on Polk County side, the disposal is charged for afterwards. On the Marion County side, the disposal is included
Oh, okay.
in it.
Okay.
And so, yeah, so if you have, and I think the biggest difference is where you have some shorter, short-term, kind of temporary boxes
Yes,
where
yeah.
you have some.
Oh, I'm familiar.
Yep, yep.
I'm
Oh, yeah,
familiar.
you have
So
to
there's
do
a
that
bit of
all
an
the time.
imbalance
Yeah.
between the short-term and the longer-term use of those boxes. And so
Right.
be working with Mid-Valley Haulers and the haulers to sort out kind of what adjustments are needed there to create a better balance in that line of business. There may, as I mentioned before, may be some continued updates to the inflation factors. We talked earlier about, just want to briefly mention, of course, so if there's any service delivery changes, there's a couple things you may be looking at. We've mentioned also, I mentioned earlier, the 95 gallon. I'll be collecting some additional information that was requested about mapping that out. And so I'm planning to have that available for you next month. And then also Chris Bell, our solid waste consultant, he's doing his work right now in the background. Going through all the financial numbers and all that for 2024, just to make sure that, things are as expected. So it's just part of our due diligence. So there may be some small adjustments that might come out of that review. And then, so kind of that overall timeline today, in July, we have, of course, we presented this initial ask. In August, I'm expecting some discussion, talking about some of those potential adjustments and potential service changes. In September, I'm anticipating that we'll have kind of that final proposal will be presented to this committee, and hoping to get a recommendation from this committee to City Council for approval of the 26, and I put 27 in there twice. The adoption of the 26 and 27 solid waste rates. Expecting or anticipating then taking this to City Council in October for a public hearing and adoption of those rates. And then during November and December timeframe, because of the 2-month billing, the haulers would be providing notification to the customers for a January 1, 2026 rate change.
And so I have a question on this timeline. As I'm looking at it, it doesn't offer us quite as much time as I had thought. We'll be coming back, discussing it again, and making our decision in September. If we're struggling with that decision,
Mhm.
we would have potentially just a meeting or two to get it out fast enough. Might we have to consider having a special meeting if we're unable, like if we need time to consider some of the rate increases? I know it took us some time to figure it out last time, and I'm just a little concerned that, we're gonna get more information next month. That means that by September, we're gonna have to be ready to make our decision. So I don't know if we struggle, if we can have a motion to have a special meeting if necessary. That's basically what I'm asking.
Sure. So I have built in an extra month if we need to.
Yes,
So
okay.
we could have another meeting in October.
October to do it.
That puts a little bit more pressure on the haulers, and so that means that our city council meeting and the public hearing would be in November. Instead of having the 2 months and using the 2-month billing process, half of the customers would get a special mailing. So that could all be done in December.
And the special mailings cost money, I would guess. So again, I'm just asking, is there an opportunity to have a special meeting if it was necessary? And I'm getting a head nod.
Yes, we can do that.
Okay, so we might ask members of this committee if we feel that we're not quite ready to make this decision. By our meeting in September, we might need to ask for a special meeting later that month or early October so that we can be better prepared. I'm just throwing it out as a possibility. We might all be so aligned and ready to go. That would be lovely with this timeline. Any question? Oh, yes, Dr. Brown.
Thanks, Madam Chair. So that meeting, are you thinking having a work session as the meeting? And the reason I'm asking is because we pulled this from this past week. So part of me says, I really don't want to put this on the agenda again if we're thinking about having a work session where we can just talk about it more fully.
I'm simply saying that if we're not quite ready to have this going to city council for a public hearing by October, that we might need to have a solid waste committee meeting, an extra one, potentially.
Yeah, I'm okay with us meeting, but I'm thinking like, even if we do meet,
Yes.
do you still think the whole council needs to hear an update after we meet that next time?
I think that the city council will be ready to hear once this committee has made its recommendation.
Okay.
Councilor Varney.
Thank you, Chair. So are you thinking of a potential additional meeting in which month did you say, September or October?
Well, because we're looking at, so the answer, Councilor Gwynn just said yes. I'm not sure if it would fall because we're usually the third week of the month. It probably would end up falling maybe early October, and that it would then go to council for the later meeting in October versus the first meeting in October. I think that's all. I'm just saying that I believe that we will all understand and come to terms within the time frame that's offered. But just in case, I wanted to see if we would be allowed to have a special meeting if we aren't able to get there in the time frame we have.
Okay, that makes sense. And are we looking at just the rates for 2026? I know it says adoption of 2027 as well, but
I'm laughing because
there's so many uncertainties. Anyway, I'm just thinking out loud. That's okay. And also the public noticing of meetings and public participation and just getting the word out about these potential changes, I think is going to be crucial.
And that will be the hauler's responsibility. And that's why Mr. Zink is recommending that we get this done by October so that they have enough time to get those the letters out. And I'll go ahead and, because I'm talking, it is for 26 and 27. The rates will be for 26 and 27, 2 years.
Okay, I mean, there could be a lot of changes for 27. I'm thinking of the RMA and the different changes that are going on, and the fact that, you know, as a council, we adopt our fee schedule annually. Yeah, I'm just thinking a lot about this because there are going to be a number of changes coming up in the next couple of years.
And that's
Just a
kind of
comment.
why I'm asking that if they have the need, that we can have a special meeting. Because I understand that there's going to be some questions on this. And Ryan will now answer the other question that you have.
Member Barney, I think that's a very solid consideration. You know, there are, you know, as we're looking at some significant changes within Marion County, just of disposal of waste. Brian may mention, you know, the commissioners may be looking at changing, or will be considering some disposal things in the next 2-3 months potentially. And so we have a couple of options. So historically, I say historically, meaning the last 6 years or so, we've tried to adopt 2 years worth of rates at a time. You know, trying to look in the future as best as we can. And I think we've done fairly well with that. We've had some misses, but I think we've hit on that fairly well. We certainly have, and we have exercised the option that we can try to do something for 2027, with even knowing some of that uncertainty. But if that uncertainty comes to fruition, or we have significant changes in the market, we can certainly bring it back and revisit this. And take it back to, you know, address it within this committee and make a new recommendation to the council for 2027 to substitute what was previously adopted for 2027. So that's the direction I would recommend. If this committee, though, is not comfortable with recommending something for 2027, going 2 years out, we can do 1 year at a time.
Just a caveat as well, the water rates are also going to be heard in that same time frame that you would hear the 2027 rates. So that's another reason for the 2-year cycle, is to kind of offset what's coming before council, to not have 2 public hearings about rate increases back to back.
That's a really good point. Yeah, I appreciate that. Well, thank goodness we have a couple of months for discussion, because I want to make sure that we focus on some sort of a lower rate option for folks if they're willing to reduce the waste. Anyway, thank you for the time.
Yeah, and as before, we'll go over the options that customers will have by reducing their container size or going to every other week. So there'll still be those options, I believe, or at least I hope to see them as well. And I'm getting a nod and a yes from Ryan here. So those will be in those present the cost presentations for us.
Great.
If I may.
Yes.
What question I would have for the committee, and certainly if you don't know today, certainly you know, feel free to follow up with me afterwards. Is there information in this presentation, you know, either specific or general, that you would like to see that would be more helpful in making those decisions as we're moving forward? So, you know, whether it be a different view, or hey, it really kind of, it seems like you hit this, but maybe you're missing some information over here. I'd love to, you know, if there's a information gap, I want to make sure I'm filling that gap and bringing that back to you. So please feel free to reach out to me if there's specific information that would be helpful.
Thank you. I understand you're both. Any further questions on any of that? Thank you. Okay, so it looks like now you're at the recycling, the RMA.
Yes. So this may be a record meeting in terms of getting out before 1. We'll see here. So RMA update. I don't have a slide. Just kind of give you some brief updates. So on the rollout itself, and kind of getting that information out. Myself, county, and Haulers Group met here recently and are planning that rollout. We have some assignments to the haulers to put together some information, and then we'll be approving that. And then customers will start to see that information in their bills as part of a bill insert, and then also emailed out in August and early September. Republic Services has already, for the customers that they have email addresses for, have already sent some of that out. I've received it, and it's great information. I'm sure some of you are also already starting to see there's a Statesman Journal has had an article. There's been a couple other press releases. So we'll be following suit and providing a lot of that same information here shortly. But we're just making sure that we're doing that through a coordinated effort, so we're not one stepping on each other's toes, but also that we have a coordinated message coming out. So you should be seeing that soon. And then on the funding agreement, as you all know, Monday night you approved the primary funding agreement with CAA. So I have already sent that off. They've acknowledged receipt of it. They're doing their side of it. They'll sign it, get it back to us. And then we'll move right into the recycling contamination reduction addendum that would be a part of that, and be moving forward. And I'm going to use that as a leapfrog into the very last agenda item here under other, number 7, the Marion County Materials Management Advisory Council, or the MAC. The first meeting of that is actually next Wednesday. Myself and Chair Nishioka will be attending that and representing the city of Salem. Not going to be a lot of business during that meeting, but the one in August, I'm expecting to start diving in head first with again, that coordinate effort of how, as our Marion County region, being City of Kaiser, Marion County, City of Salem, what elements of that recycling waste reduction, what those options are we going to be working together, and how are we going to be allocating and kind of allocating those tasks, which then will allocate the available funding. So within Marion County, there's going to be about $1 million available for that specific task of reducing contamination in our recycling. So looking forward to having those conversations and making some progress that way. And so very last thing, if you don't mind, I will just remind folks, our next meeting is Thursday, August 21st, in this room at noon.
Thank you very much. Any questions from either? Yes, Councilor Barney, go right ahead.
Thank you. Of course, I'm always asking about Polk County. So with the Marion County Materials Management Advisory Council, what are we doing about input from the West Salem side of Salem?
Member Varney, I have to apologize to you. So when I talk about what we're doing with the City of Salem, any of the work that we do, even with the MAC, so the 2 haulers that serve Polk County are a part of the Haulers Association. And so any of the work that we do here in Salem includes Polk County, of course. And so Polk County gets it benefits from the work that Marion County does. The Polk County side of Salem, I should say, benefits from the work that Marion County does.
Okay, is there going to be some sort of a separate group or communication in regards to the Rehab Polk Regional Waste Transfer Station? Because it's continuing to move forward as far as I know. I know there's a land use hearing coming up August 5th. But according to the timeline online, it says the facility could open to the public by 2027. So what is occurring to help keep this committee informed of the progress and what's going on with that?
That's a great question. And I will say, I haven't heard much, from, Polk County on the process of that or the progress. Since, they last came and, kind of got that general head nod from city council that yes, this was the general direction. I think they're working through their process in terms of the land use, decision-making and some of that. So, once, as I understand it, once they've moved through and completed that process, they'll be coming back to the cities to work on that agreement that we would need with them, or that they would need with us, I should say, in terms of ensuring that they have the quantity of material going to rehab as necessary. Kevin, have you heard much from rehab?
No, I haven't heard any more than what you update, but I'm assuming that through the Material Management Advisory Council, you'll probably be getting more information with Polk County being a part of that.
Okay, thank you.
So as I get information, I will bring it to this committee.
Works for me. I appreciate that, Ryan.
Anything else? I do have a question. I'm curious as to the Circle Action Alliance. Is that an Oregon based or is it nationally based? And is it funded through the RMA, or is there a certain take that happens with what all is happening within it?
Before you go there, can you explain what that is? The
Oh,
Circle
certainly.
Alliance. I have no idea what that is.
Okay, so if you recall with the RMA, the Recycling Modernization Act, a producer responsible organization, is assigned, or they can submit a program. So the pro for Oregon is CAA, the Circular Action Alliance. So they have an approved plan by DEQ. So they submitted a plan, they've gone through that process, and so they are the approved pro for Oregon. They are also the approved pro for, I want to say, half a dozen other states. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe, or someone like Brian, if you recall, I think they might actually be a Canadian-based company.
I was gonna ask where they're
So-
located.
Yeah, so they're a nonprofit organization. They are funded through the membership fees that are paid into it, and
Right.
those members are the producers of products. So your Amazon, your Coca-Cola, those producer companies that are required to join a membership, a pro organization.
Got it.
Okay.
So then again, just so I'm understanding, not only are these producers of the packaging and the materials are required to have one of these companies, and they're also paying for the service of that company as well as paying for how to manage their.
Right,
their
so the pro, that nonprofit organization, formed by or joined by, the producers, they pay fees into it based on the recyclable nature of their materials. So if they're more recyclable, their fees are less. If they're less recyclable, their fees are more. So they have a whole fee structure based on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, and then those fees are collected, then help to pay for the improvements within the recycling system.
Part of my question was going all the way towards any of this federal tax dollars that could stop. Or is it all of the manufacturers or the business or the shippers, the ones? It's not any funding from feds.
I'm not aware of any grant funding that's being used for this program.
You just get leery of something that gets started and then might not have funding to carry on. That was what I was trying to determine.
I understand.
All right, thank you. And probably something I should have asked a long time ago, but that's the way it is. All right, so it looks like we're gonna all get 25 minutes back of our time unless anyone has any further questions. Anyone else that's with us online have any comments or anything? I don't see any hands going up. Then I shall adjourn this meeting and we will see you on Thursday,